What's up, guys? My name's Brandon, and welcome back to Apple Weekly, the final episode of 2023. So happy holidays to everybody out there. So in this episode, we're going to discuss more about iOS 17.3, along with the confusing iOS 17.2.1. We're also going to talk about an update on the Apple Watch being banned, Apple's next generation of CarPlay, iPhone 16 rumors, another crazy AirTag story, and more. And as always, if you want to stay updated with everything going on in the world of Apple in 2024, be sure to subscribe to the channel and also check out the Apple Den newsletter. All right, so let's start by talking about iOS 17.2.1 because you might have seen me on Forbes or Yahoo or every other publication that posted about 17.2.1 showing what I showed on Twitter. So we'll get to that in a moment. But 17.2.1 is just such a weird update because, like I said in my What's New video, if you saw it earlier this week, there was really nothing new. I mean, Apple did not tell us anything that was included in the update. There was no security patches in the update, no publication that came out and said, oh, look, this, and this was introduced in 17.2.1, or like this was fixed in 17.2.1. None of that. Like, we have absolutely still to this day, no clue what was included with 17.2.1. However, I found something, and this is kind of how I got on all those different publications, because I was looking on Twitter, I was looking on X, trying to see if anybody found anything new in 17.2.1, and for some reason I saw, Japanese speakers posting their screenshots of 17.2.1, so I went to, screenshot that and translate what it said is new in their update. And what I found was interesting, and you see it on your screen right here. It says that this update introduces important bug fixes and addresses an issue where the battery may drain quicker under certain conditions. Now, my first thought was, okay, this might be a bug, it might be an issue in translation, but then I went to Apple's site once they put up the release notes for 17.2.1 on the Japanese version of their website on Apple, and it showed the same thing. So there was no, issue with the translation, there was no bug on the software update screen, none of that. It looks like at least those in Japanese speaking regions, and also it was showing for Chinese as well. So Chinese and Japanese, it showed the same translation here. It showed, a battery drain fix. However, in the US and the UK and in every English speaking country, we did not see that, and nobody really reported anything being resolved with battery drain. So this is weird. I mean, we still don't have any explanation from Apple. I'm sure multiple publications reached out to Apple for comments, but we've not seen anything. Let me know if you're having better battery life on 17.2.1 as opposed to 17.2, which was just released the week prior. Now, before we talk about iOS 17.3 a little bit more, I do want to also mention iOS 17.2 because this kind of went under the radar, but 17.2 patched a very notorious iPhone bug that's related to the Flipper Zero. This is a pen testing tool, and there was a bug with this tool that would force you to reboot your device. So basically this Flipper Zero pen testing tool would flood the iPhone with so many notifications that it would just freeze up and force reboot. And this is going around like crazy. I even saw this on TikTok of all places, and it was working on devices up to 17.2, but Apple did patch it with 17.2 and of course 17.2.1 as well. Okay, so now let's move on to iOS 17.3 because while iOS 17.2 had like 60 new features and changes, I think 17.3 is going to be the most important update for iOS 17 yet, and it's mainly because of the stolen device protection feature, along with the performance and the battery life, which we'll talk about in a moment. But I do just want to kind of build on what we've already talked about with the stolen device protection, because Joanna Stern from the Wall Street Journal, who is pretty much fully responsible for Apple even introducing this feature into the iPhone, she actually sat down with a man who basically was one of these thieves who was stealing iPhones and draining people's bank and crypto accounts with the loophole that stolen device protection fixes. And this video, which I'll leave linked down in the description below, is very interesting because she talks with this man who is, again, serving a prison sentence for stealing over $300,000 from unsuspecting victims who would basically just, this guy would befriend. This is the classic story that we've heard ever since Joanna Stern and the Wall Street Journal really reported on this. They would kind of befriend people, especially college-age people, in a bar, and they'd be drunk, obviously, so they wouldn't have their guard up as much. And these people would go in there and they would ask them to put in their passcode, or they would, ask them what their passcode would be. And sometimes they would tell them. And these thieves would basically understand how to change the Apple ID with that passcode, the loophole we've been talking about this whole time, they would understand and know how to do that within seconds. They were really quick with it, as this guy explains in the video. And basically, they would be able to just take control of their phone. They would be able to get into their passwords, their banking applications, their crypto apps, and everything like that, and then just leave. They'd steal the phone after already having all that information. So, obviously all these people were pretty unsuspecting and they wouldn't really know until the next day because they were so drunk, but it's incredible how much money these people have made. And it was not just a one-person operation. This guy tells in the story how he kind of just reported it back to somebody else and they'd probably stolen millions, maybe even tens of millions of dollars in terms of iPhones, actual iPhones themselves, along with the, drainage of the bank accounts and crypto accounts as well. So I think that video really just highlighted how important that loophole was for thieves and how important the stolen device protection feature is for consumers like you and I, and why we need to turn this on right away. But aside from the stolen device protection feature, we didn't really have anything major that's new in 17.3. Now, we might be seeing the AirPlay in hotel rooms feature that we heard about for a while. This was supposed to come out in 2023, but Apple has delayed it to 2024. And so this might be included in 17.3 by the time the final version rolls out. But as of in beta 1, we do not have really anything else besides the stolen device protection and a couple of other minor changes. Now, the other reason I mentioned that 17.3 is an important update is because of the performance and battery life. I have been blown away with how good the performance and battery life is on a beta 1. It's very rare to see the stability and battery life like we have here on 17.3 beta 1 for a first beta. It doesn't happen very often. So you can see I did just run a Geekbench test, the CPU test, right before this video. Scored a 2963 on the single core and a 7306 on the multi-core. That is my highest single core score in well over a month. And we're talking about comparing to final versions of iOS software. So that has been very impressive. I've really had no issues in terms of performance, no bugs or anything like that. So very happy with performance. And then in terms of battery life, I am running this on my main device. So I'm going to take some screenshots of the last 24 hours, which you can actually see I haven't charged the phone at all since I woke up at around, it looks like 10 o'clock or so, and it's now 7 o'clock. So I'm still sitting at 39%, which I think is pretty good. This will easily get me through the full day. And I've actually been using it a little bit more than I should have. So good there. And then the last 10 days, you can see here as well, the activity, pretty high in terms of what I should be using, but you can see it's actually better than what I scored on 17.2 in terms of just these graphs on the 10-day chart. And then I do also want to talk about what to expect next from Apple. So typically we would say that Apple's not going to release any more software until 2024, right? I mean, really, Apple was not supposed to release anything this past week, but 17.2.1 was a surprise. However, 2023 is different for multiple reasons. So I think that we could actually see new software next week, the week of Christmas. Yes, Apple, I don't believe, has ever done this before, but also Apple has never had to stop sales of their latest product, which is the Apple Watch Series 9 and Apple Watch Ultra 2. Those are both currently banned. And we'll talk more later in this video about why that is. But Apple has said that they're going to try to release a software update to kind of get the Apple Watch unbanned. So we could see that as early as next week, the week of December 25th. Now, this is going to be a watchOS only update. This is not going to be an iOS update most likely. So it could be a watchOS update that we see next week. However, in terms of iOS, iPadOS, and all the other main software updates, we're probably not going to see anything even on the week of January 1st. I would imagine that Apple is going to wait until the week of January 8th to release anything. That is typical as what Apple has done in the past. They usually wait until the week after the new year. So the week of January 8th is when we should see iOS 17.3 beta 2, most likely on the 9th, but of course it could come any day that week. And then in terms of the final release, I would expect that to come most likely on the week of January 22nd. It could even come on the week of January 15th. It really just depends on what Apple releases. We don't typically have more than 2 or 3 betas for a 17.3, so don't expect it to go all the way into February. Like if it releases in February, it's probably going to be that first week of February, that first full week of February. All right, so now let's move on to the latest Apple news, and let's elaborate a little bit more on that Apple Watch ban that we were just talking about, because this is pretty important news. So basically, this all started on Monday, this past Monday, when Apple abruptly announced that they would soon halt the sales of their Apple Watch Series 9 and Apple Watch Ultra 2. And if you go to apple.com, it now says currently unavailable for the Series 9 and the Ultra 2. And also, they're going to have to do this from physical stores on December 24th. So Apple's not going to be able to sell these products in their physical retail stores come December 24th. And the reason this is even happening is actually something that we saw in October, and a lot of people didn't really take it serious. If you remember the headlines, there was headlines in October that said Apple Watch could be banned, and everybody was like, yeah, right, that's never going to happen. It's Apple, right? And so this was, in response to an import ban that was handed down by the Trade Commission, the International Trade Commission in October, and because they ruled that Apple infringed on patents for pulse oximetry technology made by medical device company Masimo. And there's really only one way out of this, and that is if the Biden administration basically vetoes this ban from the ITC. So they have until December 25th to do this, but if nothing happens, expect Apple to file an appeal the very next day. We don't know if it's a guarantee that Apple is going to be able to sell these again right away, but they are going to appeal that as soon as they can. And like I mentioned, Apple is working on a software update to fix this. However, Masimo came out and said that software is not going to fix this. This is a hardware ban. This is a, infringement on the hardware that was used in the new Apple Watches, not the software. So if Apple were to fix this, they would basically just have to, completely disable the blood oxygen sensor, which would kind of defeat the purpose of these newer Apple Watches. So this is going to be very interesting to follow, especially when it comes to how long this is going to last, because we still don't know how long the Apple Watch Series 9 and Ultra 2 are going to be banned for. So if you want to buy my Apple Watch Ultra 2, the starting bid is $20,000. So there you go. You can get one right now, and you don't have to buy it through Apple, because you can't buy it through Apple. It's a rare commodity. Come on, bidding starts now. And then moving on to the next generation CarPlay, which we saw this announced a couple of years ago, and Apple said that in 2023, late 2023, we would see the next generation CarPlay unveiled and kind of just announced with what vehicles are going to be capable of running the software. And Apple literally waited until the very last minute, very, very late 2023 to announce it. And it looks like Aston Martin and Porsche are going to be the first vehicles to support Apple's next gen CarPlay. And these, of course, are going to be on 2024 models. And this looks absolutely sick. I mean, you're going to be able to see driving specific data like the, speedometer, the tire pressure, like all that stuff you're going to be able to see in a CarPlay-like interface. I mean, this looks awesome. So Aston Martin did say that Apple's next-gen setup is going to be compatible with its latest infotainment system that launches in 2024 in vehicles like the DB12. However, Porsche did not reveal a release date or a model list yet. And you can expect to see this in other makes and models in 2024 as well. However, I would imagine this is not going to be something super standard on just like entry-level cars. I feel like this is only going to be on more luxury cars, like mid to high range luxury cars are going to be most likely the ones that get this next-gen CarPlay. Okay, so let's talk about the biggest product release of 2024, and that is the Apple Vision Pro. And now, Mark Gurman says that we might actually be getting this headset as soon as February. He said the Apple Vision Pro manufacturing has reached an advanced stage with a launch planned by February. The rollout will be Apple's most complex product launch yet, requiring entirely new sales strategies and equipment. The headset has customized components that need to be assembled and boxed up at the point of sale. It's also a delicate process. If the Vision Pro isn't fitted to a user's head correctly, the device won't show content properly and may feel extra heavy. And then he goes on to mention that we should not expect another Apple event for the Vision Pro. It's likely just going to launch on the website with additional details. So what I found really interesting about this report is that it seemed, and then we kind of heard this already, but it seems like the whole process of actually buying and walking out of the store with an Apple Vision Pro is not going to be easy. It's not going to be like any other Apple product that we could just go in there. I got this for pickup. Okay, I'm out. Like that's not going to happen with the Vision Pro. Like he mentions, there are customized components that are, you have to probably measure somebody's head to get a very precise measurement and then adjust it. And it has to be done in the retail store. So it'll be really interesting to see how this goes. Like I'm very interested to see how the retail store looks that day. They're going to have decorations and Vision Pro is going to be advertised everywhere for a while when the Apple Vision Pro comes out. Like the retail stores are going to be decked out with Vision Pro gear. Now, again, this is not going to be a very consumer-centric device. Like your average consumer is not going to, want this. They're not going to spend $3,500 on this, but I think Apple is still going to advertise the heck out of the Vision Pro because it is something so, I don't want to say revolutionary, but it seems like it's going to be something revolutionary. And please let me know because I'm really trying to gauge your guys' interest. Will you be getting the Apple Vision Pro, in 2024 or even in the future? Well, let's just say 2024 for now. Will you spend $3,500 on the Apple Vision Pro in 2024? Please let me know in a comment down below because I do want to make videos on that, but I understand that probably most of my audience is not going to be buying that thing. Now, we also have some fresh rumors on the iPhone 16 series, including some big changes coming to the camera systems. According to a leaker on Weibo, the iPhone 16 Pro is expected to gain a 48 megapixel ultra-wide camera in addition to the 48 megapixel main sensor. So this is going to be the first iPhone ever to have two 48 megapixel cameras. Meanwhile, the telephoto is expected to stay at 12 megapixels. And this upgraded ultra-wide camera is going to have the pixel binning technology, the pixel binning feature that is currently on the iPhone 15's main camera. This tech is basically just going to combine 4 individual pixels to create an effective resolution of 12 megapixels with a larger pixel size for improved low light performance. So finally, 48 megapixel Pro RAW photos using the ultra wide camera will be possible next year with the iPhone 16 Pro. Also, according to Mac Rumors, Apple is going to be adding the tetraprism telephoto lens to both the iPhone 16 Pro and Pro Max models next year. So this is like the 3rd or 4th report that we've heard about this. So I think this is extremely likely to happen. This is no longer going to be a Pro Max exclusive because with the 15 Pro and Pro Max, only the Pro Max had that tetraprism lens, which is what gets you that 5x optical zoom. And speaking of the iPhone 16 series, a source told Mac Rumors that an early build of iOS 18, which is codenamed Crystal, contains really interesting hardware references in the code. So it not only references 4 unreleased iPhone models with their device identifiers, and as you can see, there is no Ultra model that's expected, only the Pro and Pro Max. But anyway, in addition to that, the iOS 18 code also indicates that the entire iPhone 16 lineup is going to have the A18 chip inside. So unlike the past few years where the base model has like last year's chip, it looks like for the iPhone 16 series, they're all going to have A18. But what I expect to see happening is going to be A18 on the 16 and 16 Plus, and then A18 Pro on the Pro and Pro Max models. And then finally, another crazy AirTag story. And this week's a little bit different because I searched for AirTag stories this week and literally I saw 3 of like the same thing. So I don't know what it is with holidays, but it seems like ex-lovers go crazy around holidays. I don't know if it's the nostalgia and you guys are just, getting sad and in your feelings about your ex-lover, but like, man, I saw at least 3 stories just this week about an ex-spouse stalking the other one with an AirTag. Some of them got caught and charged, and one of them never even got caught, and they're now looking for that suspect. So it's wild. Like if you haven't gotten your AirTags yet, right now they are $80, less than $80 on Amazon for a 4-pack. That is the easiest buy of the year. If you do not already have more than one AirTag, please go to Amazon and buy this 4-pack for $80. Trust me, you need more than one. For your luggage, your car, like any valuable thing you have, you're gonna wish you had more than one. And these things, you can go back and look at my catalog here for the past 2 years. There's so many crazy AirTag stories out there where the AirTags save a person, or they save their thousands of dollars worth of whatever they invested in that got stolen. They were able to recover it. So do yourself a favor and go buy those, and also do yourself a favor and please don't stalk your ex just because you're sad it's the holidays. That didn't make sense. Let me just say don't stalk anybody. There we go. But anyways, guys, hope you enjoyed this episode. If you did, I would appreciate if you gave it a thumbs up. Also, be sure to subscribe so you don't miss out on future 2024 Apple related videos. And once again, Merry Christmas if you celebrate, Happy Holidays if you do not. I hope you enjoy time with your family. If you don't have family, I hope you enjoy your time watching me. Hopefully I can help you feel a little bit better and bring you some Apple news, and hopefully that's making your Christmas or your holidays better as well. But anyways, guys, thanks again for watching. If you want to get access to any of my wallpapers or anything like that, all those links are always down in the description below. But anyways, guys, thanks again for watching, and I'll see you soon.